Superintendent's race is often overlooked until we elect the wrong person. And what we've learned in this last few years is how important the position of superintendent is. It sets the tone for the discussion about education. It sets the tone as to whether we're going to seek quality, maintain local control, and keep the federal government out.
I've managed groups close to 1,000 of being able to explain to them what our work is, why it's important for us to do, and then asking them to work with me on how to best implement it.
He knows that he can't do this alone, that if we really want Wyoming schools to be everything they can be and should be, that we need all the players taking part and fulfilling their roles and responsibilities. And I think he's the person who can pull them together, keep them together, get some agreements that we can take to the legislature that will influence policy.
What we don't recognize is how complex the business of education is. And then it relies on expertise, and we have to learn to trust the educators on how to best do that. I've worked 30 years for a series of companies, started with the AT&T Bell system, Mountain Bell. We went to US West, Quest, and it's now CenturyLink. And then really moved into a regulatory, legislative, and then really a management leadership for the entire state. And that was when I was appointed as state president of Quest Communications in Wyoming. Over the last 10 years, I'd really been thinking about what role could I play in education? And I've been considering more and more that maybe there was a role for me and maybe I should be looking at running for superintendent. But what I recognized that I hadn't been a classroom teacher, and there was going to be questions asked as I move forward. Well, how can somebody that's not in education then value and understand it? So not only was I able to fulfill a lifelong dream of wanting to get a doctorate, but I was also able to focus in a way that helped me to transition from my old job to this new aspiration, which was really understanding how can I, in the role of superintendent, have an impact to see that our students had greater success in the future.
We have fallen for that business that you have to be a teacher several times. And most recently, it hasn't worked out very well at all. I think the correlation between being a teacher and being a superintendent is functionally zero. The real correlation that matters is, are you committed to education? Are you prepared to spend the time to bring in good people to help manage a department that needs to make a difference in the education of Wyoming students?
During this 48 school district tour that we've been on, the real worry is that they've spent a lot of time trying to adhere to what the legislature really wants us to do, and that's to create student success and greater graduation rates, less remediation rates. But what they've said is once a plan is set, then we need time to see it implemented. And right now there's a sense from everybody that every year we're changing pieces. When you get down to the bottom of it, what leadership about in any complex organization is finding the best people, keeping them well trained, and then really being willing to talk and listen to them. Because oftentimes they're closest to the customer, and when you find folks that are closest to the customer, that's who you need to listen to.
You know, I don't think it's so much that he cares about the job or having the job. I think he cares about what he can do if he's in that position. What he can do for students, what he can do for families, what he can do for the state through education.
We've got a great group of folks focused on education, and there's no reason in the world that we can't be number one in the United States in delivering that education to our students.
He is the perfect person with outside skills, no government taint, to come in and simply make sure that the superintendent's job focuses on education. Get to know Mike, know who he is, and you'll vote for him.